Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Minecraft video, and today I'm going to show you a secret bunker that has 5 redstone creations in it, and I'm going to explain each redstone creation as we go through the bunker. So I hope you all enjoyed this video, and let's jump right into this. The first thing that I'm going to show you before entering the bunker are, you can see here, are all of the creations because I was testing out. So we have the secret door from a wall that opens with a hopper minecart, and there should be a hopper minecart there. Then you have a lectern that needs to be on a certain page so something opens. And we have the launch pad that will also remove the ground for a second. Then a combination lock, opening and closing the door if you get it wrong, like that. And then a cauldron combination lock where you need filled and not filled or not filled. So let's enter the bunker. So the first thing, you're going to get any block that you don't want, and you're going to open the door like that. So after you threw a block at the place you have your hopper minecart, it could be anywhere, but you will need to make more redstone wiring. You're going to select switch to the page. For me it's page 6, but if I go to page 7 for example, it's not going to open, and I'm going to explain that why. Well, if I go to page 6, press done, it's going to open, and I can jump into here. So now let me explain how all of this works. So the first thing is that you know that hopper minecarts can take blocks and 1 block above. So the hopper minecart gets the block, takes it into the hopper, that takes it into the chest. That time when an item passes through here, there is a comparator detecting that change, turning on a redstone and the repeater here with a tick, taking the redstone upwards to open these pistons. So it takes them up, comes through here and powers these pistons. The reason why they stay here without closing is because the piston take a block there and then retract in a split second. So if a piston in a split second, in a tick actually, gets retracted after being pulled, it will not pick up the block. These are sticky pistons. So we end up having them pulling it, for example, and closing and then retracting back, or closing there when pulling, closing, and then retracting back and staying here. So I suggest you have 15 pages, so every page you switch, you will the comparator will add 1 signal strength. So page 15, you are allowed to turn on 15 redstone dust, which is actually the limit. So what I did here is at page 6, which is redstone line number 6, I have 2 repeaters here, turning on this block, powering this redstone, and going over here to power the piston beneath. I'm going to explain that. But we also, if it's on page 7, we don't want that to happen. So I took again a repeater, then redstone dust funneling into a redstone torch that will pull the piston back, and it will not allow for redstone signal to power that redstone dust, and it will not open the door, the floor actually. How it works, it's again all about timing. You first need to power this repeater that will turn off this torch, taking the piston down with the block, and then after that, a few ticks later, you have this redstone torch being unpowered by these repeaters, pulling the pistons backwards and pulling back the piston and the floor block. And that's simply how it works. So Now let's continue. So we have here 4 cauldrons. I'll actually go here and take a water bucket, and actually don't remember the combination. Okay, I actually remembered. So how this works is actually pretty simple. MrCrayfish has a design where it depends on the amount of water you have in a cauldron, which is actually better. I have only if it's full or not. So you can see here, if you want that thing to be full, you have a comparator. If you don't want it to be full, comparator and then a block with a redstone torch. If you don't want it to be filled with water, just place a comparator and a repeater. And then if any of these cauldrons have water in it, either it will turn off and will not emit a signal, or it will turn on and it will emit a signal, which will turn this on, turning this off, turning the redstone on, which will cause into the door closing. I have it so when the torch is closed, the door is open. And the torch is off, actually. And that's pretty much how it works. If you have, for example, a lot of cauldrons, and you have, for example, 2 doors that you want to open with this combination, for example, this door and a door over here, you will need to create 2 lines, one line going in one direction and the second line going in the other direction, if you have a lot of cauldrons. Like a project I'm working on, which is something else, something interesting. I have this combination lock, but with 7 cauldrons, and they open 2 doors. And now let's move on. And here we have a combination lock, which with 7 levers actually up. I will remove the signs when I know the combination, but it's pretty hard to memorize. Up, and the door open. And I can come into my secret bunker with emerald blocks and bows and everything. And even more blocks. And if you get one wrong, for example, these are like that, and then I turn this up, the door will not open. So, let me explain also how this works. It's actually something a little bit more complicated, but it has the same premise as the cauldron. So again, I have, for off torch it will be close the door this time. When it's on the torch, the door will be open. So I have these repeaters taking in the redstone signal from these parts. I'm going to explain this on the smaller design, which is a little bit cleaner, because if you have a lot of levers that have the same combination, for example, up, 3 levers, you'll need to make it a little bit more complicated. So how it works is really simple. When you have a lever pressed in your combination lock, everything would output after this wall a signal of 0, which will allow the redstone torch to be powered, opening the door. If you get anything wrong, it will either turn off the torch, turning on this torch here, giving out redstone signal, or turning on this torch, turning on this signal, and giving again a redstone signal, closing the door. And that's pretty much how it works. This design is expandable, but if you have, for example, 3 levers that have the same combination, you will need to change it a little bit. You will need in the middle, because you can't add redstone, because it will not turn off these torches. You will need to add a repeater, getting powered from this, and turning into a block, turning off the redstone torch, turning off this redstone powering this repeater to give out signal to this whole line. One thing, you can't add the repeater here because it's not going to be powered by the redstone. Here it will, and that's why this design works, with having 3 levers having the same combination. And now let's move to my last creation in this safe bunker, which is a slime launcher. You need to stand in the middle of the slime, jump to check that it works, and then press the button, not break the button. When you press the button, it will launch you up and then close behind you. And I suggest you press W so you don't get suffocated. It's like the same creation that I did with my secret door that opens with a password. If you haven't seen there will be a link. If you haven't seen that video, there will be a link in the description down below. How this slime launcher works is actually almost the same. You have 2 pistons, 1 piston and the floor here. You have a redstone torch powering this piston, and you have the redstone signal coming around. When you press the button that is over here, power this line coming up here, giving it a tick delay, and then turning on the piston, turning off the piston. At that moment, the line will also travel here and take the piston down, because this piston comes down and this retracts it. And then after the same ticks, a little bit later, have this redstone repeater giving out a signal to the obsidian, to the obsidian. Underneath you have a repeater funneling into a slime piston with a slime block. It has a small tick delay, so it's after the door opens, and the piston will get powered, launch you up into the air, and then you can go and the door will close behind you. So I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time in another Minecraft video. Peace.